I've actually never been live on my own page before, so.
Yeah, at first.
Okay, so again, we have the little pink ball of fondant. I'm just gonna roll it out just a little bit because I still want the tongue to be pretty thick so that it takes detail well. So just a little that. You can flatten it with your hand if you want to. So it's still pretty thick. And then I'm gonna take my foil, and you want to kind of hold on to the sides so that you're not just, you don't want to just ball up a piece of foil and then struggle trying to unball it. You're messing with a hold to the sides and then just kind of push it in, bring it back up. And then I'm going to do that about 2 more times because you want the texture to be very small and fine. And then you're just going to lay it over top of your tongue and just press down. And I do it normally about 3 times. So kind of like that. So remember, these are Halloween cupcakes, so you don't want the tongue to look too healthy. So we're making someone who doesn't brush their tongue, basically. And then I'm going to take my foil and I'm just going to roll it like this. And then I'm going to take another smaller piece of foil that I've just kind of bent. So just kind of take a little small piece of foil and just kind of ball it into a ball. We're basically making a tool now that will add a couple more details in the tongue. You kind of want your tongue to dip in more along the top. Like that. And that's how I let it dry. And I'm just going to hit it with a little airbrush next. But remember, again, I have, so the tutorial for this, I make a lot of different little body parts for cupcakes. So it's just the Franken parts tutorial. And I'll just demo really quickly how I hit it with little colors for the airbrush. So I'm just taking a little pink airbrush color. You see the color that I'm using. So I'll start at the top. Doing a little shadow. Then I'll go down the middle. So now because of the bumps and ridges on the tongue, I have to move the tongue around to airbrush the other side. So again, I'm at the back, just coming down the front. Normally, I'll just let it dry at an angle so that it's kind of like humped over my icing.
It's crazy that little amount of color made a huge difference.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I'm always like, when I do like Food Network shows or something like that, and they're like, and I'm like, hey, will there be an airbrushing station? And they're like, no, we won't do a lot of airbrushing. I'm like, nope, gotta have it, man. That's the only thing that I need when competing. Like, if I start running out of time, then I'll scratch like important cake elements just so I can get to the airbrushing. You can just use like coconut oil or vegetable oil, or you can make your own glaze by just using corn syrup and vodka 50/50. But they also do sell confectioner glazes online. So CK Products has confectioner glaze, and so does Poppy Paints. Those are the 2 brands that I like the most. But the glaze just makes the tongue look even more disgusting and realistic. So do a little glazing.
That's awesome.
Basically, long story short, when I started off, I was in college and broke, like how students are, and I was trying to figure out ways to make what everyone else was making on a budget, I guess. And so I started practicing detailing techniques with a lot of things that I even use to this day. So like straws, toothpicks, foils, things like that. And then as I started to make money, I was able to invest in more. But even then, and my parents hate when I say this, they always say, just say frugal. But I'm a cheap person, and I know I am, and cake tools are not cheap. So I just kind of stuck with what I knew, and I like to find different ways to create on a budget, I guess.
That's awesome.
You like a budget?
These are just some Halloween sprinkles from Sweet Appetit. I'll just pour some of those out.
Oh, we have little bone sprinkles.
So what you'll just do is you'll just use your glaze or your corn syrup at the tip of the tongue, and you can just dip it in a little sprinkle, and then let your tongue dry like that, so it kind of looks like your tongue cupcake is licking the sprinkles.
Cute. What normally inspires you? Like, do you see something and go, I need to try and recreate that?
Yes, all the time. Artwork mainly. Like, I follow a lot. I think I follow more art pages than anything. So like tattoo pages, sculptors, things like that. Like just painters. Even just like artwork that you see like at the airport or just driving around. Like everything. Sometimes I'll just like stop and take random pictures of something, like in a restaurant or something like that. I get all of my inspiration from artwork. So I even created a wedding cake for a competition one time based on the stone walls that I saw at the airport before entering the competition. So it's just very random and from anywhere. So I'm just taking more pink fondant, and I'll just roll them. I'll roll it as long as I can. And you don't want it to be too smooth or anything like that. You can even roll it in your fingers. And we're just gonna make intestines.
Ooh.
Do you like gore?
Yeah, I love it. I've gotten my parents into horror movies over the years too, and now they'll watch them. Like they won't watch them without each other, but they'll watch them every now and then. Okay, and then I'll take my intestines. Very easy. So you can even do this after you ice your cupcakes, but just like 2 inches at a time. I'll just randomly roll. So I'll curl there, zigzag a little. So super easy, but looks difficult on a cupcake. Like it looks like you've spent your time on it. And then I'll do 2 more. So just a very quick, easy brain. So basically the same thing. So this one I'll set to the side. And you can make this one cupcake too. You can also, if you have the right icing tip, you can just do this in icing. I prefer using fondant just because it keeps up better and takes airbrush better. But I'll just do some zigzags. Another one in the opposite way. So I'm using more as I get to the center. So like that, and then when you put it on the cupcake over your icing, it'll give you kind of like a dome shape. And then I'll do the same thing I did for the tongue. So I'll just hit it with a little airbrush on the edges and a little glaze.
Are you watching any horror movies right now or any horror shows?
Yeah, so the way it works in my family is I'll give them a suggestion and they'll only watch it if I'm there to watch it with them. So now I'm watching The Haunting of Hill House for the 3rd time because my sisters want to watch it. And so like we've only been able to watch like 1 a day because they'll only watch it if I'm over.
We've been watching Lovecraft Country on HBO.
I haven't started that one yet. I've heard a lot about it though.
Yeah, the first episode got like rave reviews, so we were all hyped going into the first. And now we're, I think, 4 episodes in. Do you have a favorite movie monster?
Guillermo del Toro. Any monsters he makes, I love. Hellboy is one of my favorite movie franchises, and like Pan's Labyrinth and all of those. Like I love the monsters he creates. Like I just because I'm really into like sci-fi. I think my dream job would have been like movie monster makeup, if I didn't do cakes. That's why I do like a lot of faces, because I get like that's my opportunity to kind of play with monster movie makeup a bit.
You stayed with that airbrush. All of his pictures have like a fantastical edge to them.
But I think that's why I like them so much. Like, it's not just like I've done Halloween competitions before and Halloween shows, and like a lot of times when like you can just tell who is really into horror and who's not. So a lot of times, like, I'll be competing against someone and like they just start to throw blood everywhere, and I'm like, that's not really how you make a monster. So it's I like how his had that like fantasy element. Okay, so this last one I'm going to show is a little more detailed. It's not as easy as these, but again, if I'm doing cupcakes like this, then I'll just make a whole bunch of these as kind of like fillers. Just because it's not the client's business how quick it was for me to make something, you know? So it was easy. I'm just going to paint an eye really quick. So I'm using Wilton gels for this. You can get Wilton gels from like any store like Walmart or Michael's or Joann's. And I actually only use Wilton gels for eyes because I don't know if it's because of the water that's in the gel color, but it just works best. And for eyes, I just use a little Wilton gel, water, and a cotton swab. So I'll show you guys how. I'll just start by throwing the ball and paint the entire iris with my gel color. So this is just green gel color mixed with a little black, because I don't want the eyes to ever look too vibrant, and then they won't look realistic. But, and then I'm just going to dampen my cotton swab with a little water, and from the center I'm going to dab the color away. So I'm just going to pick up the color. I'm just dabbing, going in a circular motion until the lighter green starts to show. Yeah, you can see it kind of coming through a little bit. And then I'll do the other side. And the reason cotton swabs work best is because when they're dampened and you're dabbing with them, the cotton starts to lift a little bit and leaves a really realistic impression on the color. So it's kind of textured a bit. I'll go a little lighter.
Do you have any horror legend that you haven't made but want to?
Yes, I've never made Freddy Krueger. And the reason is, like, when I want to make something, like, say, like, especially when, like, new movies come out, it's like you have to be fast with making them, because if someone else makes it first and they make it really good, then it's, like, not as cool, you know? So, a friend of mine, Natalie Sicer, she made a really cool one. And I was like, all right, well, I have to wait a couple years until I make mine, but I'm going to make it. But I did tell my sister for her birthday that I was going to make that character, that like really weird looking lady from Crazy Stories to Tell in the Dark, the one that was walking down the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
She hated that one, so for her birthday.
With the long stringy hair and everything.
Yeah. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my green gel color mix, just because it's dark enough. And I'll use the bottom of my paintbrush, because I'm horrible at painting small circles. And I'll just use that to make the pupil. So like that. And then I'll just use a little bit of white fondant for an animated shine in the corner of the pupil. That.
Wow, that looks amazing even over Blurry phone camera.
And then I'll just hit the corners or the edges of that with a little red airbrush. So I'm just airbrushing the bottom. So like that. And then you can also just kind of make more intestines. Just kind of push down a bit to make an opening for the eyeball. And then airbrush those red.
What did you dot the white dot with? That was just white fondant, correct?
Yep, that was just a little piece of white fondant. And then I'll set the eyeball in the back, and then that's another top on its own. So ideally, you would just make like whatever cupcake flavors you want. I like to use white buttercream, just so that the blood pops a little bit more. But whatever type of like strawberry or cherry filling you want to, just kind of drizzle it over the cupcake, and then you can place your topper. And I'll finish this one off with a little glaze too. Just like that.
What would you say are essential baking tools for someone who just started out?
I would say, I mean, I can't say like just foil and toothpicks, because then if you don't know what to do with them, then that wouldn't help. But for sure, you need your rolling pin. You need to learn baking, and you can use YouTube or Google for that. Honestly, that was the part that I had to learn. Like the art part was easy, but the baking is, and the science of baking is what. That's like the work part for me. But everything else is pretty easy. And I would also say invest in different color brands. So like different, if you want to play with petal dust, airbrush colors, gel colors, buy the cheapest airbrush compressor you can find on Amazon, and just invest in a really nice gun. And don't go out and, I mean, I hate to even say this, but you don't have to go out and buy the most expensive airbrush you can find just because it's promoted to be cool. Like, really simple airbrush does the trick. And fondant and just playing with it, I guess. That's how I pretty much started. Just like I would get on Google and I would Google like a frog or lizard or something like that, and I would just sculpt and practice.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, this is pretty much clay.
Yeah, we were trying to do the science of baking last night. We made some cupcakes, and we were trying to third the recipe. We can do it.
Cool. Listen, this just might be your calling. You never know.
As long as I don't have to bake the things,
Right.
I'll decorate.
The rest of the tutorial shows how to make random things like fingertips, toes, teeth and gums, and a lot of other body parts like noses and ears, just random body parts to put on top of cupcakes. I learn every time I do a different face or another face. Like, that's something that you'll like you learn with different characters and different features and things like that, especially making like realistic human faces. So I practice that a lot by watching sculpting on YouTube as well.
The face that you made for the cookie, the Us cookie with Lupita Nyong'o's character, that is my favorite thing from you,
Yeah.
like hands down. The detail.
Well, see, now those are easier because they're like 2D, and I can just like sit and concentrate on the cookie and just like have them on a little show or something in the background, and just like I can just like sit and work on those for hours. Working on like life-size bust cakes, like that the Jester clown that I did, that one was crazy. Like, because you can't just like you can't have perfect eyes and not a perfect mouth, right? And then you add on the fact that it was for a competition, and so the judges are going to be looking at everything with a microscope. It's weird making like standing bust face, but 2D cookies I can do all day.
Horror in Color is largely about championing diversity within horror as well. And I think you exemplify something really awesome within horror, which is just presenting a new way to interact with it as well. When did you first see a character that you saw yourself relating to in horror?
It's weird because I remember like when Candyman was like when that first came out, it was like a huge deal. Because you didn't get a lot of like horror movies with like black men in the forefront, but like I wasn't allowed to watch it. So like my parents and my older siblings, like they kind of like went out and saw it just because it was like a big deal, but we were too young. Like my parents, oddly enough, like they didn't grow up big on Halloween at all. Like, they didn't celebrate Halloween. Their parents just didn't celebrate Halloween. And so when we were born, I think they kind of saw at a young age that it was going to be my thing. And so they completely embraced it after that. Like I remember one year I was just like, why do we decorate the house for Christmas and not for Halloween? And so like every year after that, we started decorating the house for Halloween. So they were really cool about that. But as far as like all the scary movies that I could watch growing up, they were like, no, like we want to encourage you, but we don't want you to grow up to be a serial killer. So like I could literally only watch Chucky because they didn't think that it was that bad, you know? So once I got a little bit older, I was able to like really experience everything. It was like I just like binged all horror movies.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who had patience with us today, and thank you for showing us.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
It was really fun for us too.
Thank you guys. Bye.